magician, the lover in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burden and anything that holds you back and take your rightful place. The battle is everywhere. It's right in your face. Let's go.
Welcome to magnets, crystals, and pyramids. Success is your destiny. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Remember always who you are. Yes. Yes. I am love, wisdom, power. Yes. Yes. I am love, yes, power. Yes. I am yes, I am love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am.
Peace, everyone. Welcome to another Moorish Monday with Abdullah Mosi Bey. I always want to give a shout out to Brother Hank for offering this platform. To me, I've been on this platform since the first Monday in December of 2023. So approaching my 1 year. All right. So thank you. We have a special guest waiting for our guest to come on. Brother King Al Bay. Is King behind stage? Brother King Al Bay. He is our special guest for this evening. Trust and contractual safeguards. So that's a trust and contractual safeguard is the title for this evening. You'll see rolling across the screen pretty soon my website to get my books, Moors and Masonry Part 1, Moors and Masonry Part 2, How Our Venus and Moon Rule, Etymology and Vocabulary. Etymology, Vocabulary, Supplementary 1, The Masonic Complex Square, the Connection of Measurement and Timekeeping. Go to moorsandmasonry.org. Also, the Moroccan Post School of Government and International Law have free recorded classes, seminars on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. The Moorish Investigator and Research Committee have 7 free recorded educational lessons on the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. Waiting for Brother King to, so he's not backstage yet, King. Hank. Brother O'Connell, give Brother King a call. So thank you all for joining me today on Moorish Monday with Abdullah Mosi Bey on Magnet Pyramid Crystal YouTube page. Click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. There are a ton of wonderful recorded classes, lessons on this Magnet Pyramid YouTube page, Crystal YouTube page. Let other people know about this wonderful dynamic YouTube page. You can share the various videos. All right. Comment as well. The comment is will be greatly appreciated. We want to, you want to be engaged. So thank you for joining us. So this is the title of today's presentation is Trust and Their Contractual Safeguards. I'll just give an etymology lesson while we're waiting for Brother King to come on. As you know, etymology is the origin, history, and true meaning of words. There are scholars who will make the claim that meaning of words evolve over a period of time? Is that a truism? Do meaning of words evolve? So you have evolve, so it means roll out. So that means they actually, there's a development over the period of time. So the word comes, so there is an evolution in the meaning. There's an evolution in the thought and concept. Or is it a devolution? There is a suppression of the original thought and concept. So we have the original meaning, concept, and thought of a word. And so evolution would mean that there is an elevation or an increase in that. So the original thought is there and is now improved upon. It's expanded. Or is there a suppression of the original meaning, original thought, concept? We have the etymological brackets in the entry level meaning. Brother O'Connell, give Brother King a call. See what's going on. So we have the entry level meaning. We have your etymological meaning, which are placed in the etymological brackets, and your entry level meanings are numbered. And those are, in older dictionaries, you'll see that the first or second entry is closer to its etymological meaning. I also suggest for you to watch the movie called Professor and the Madman, the Oxford English Dictionary by the Philosophical Society that was actually placed by the Queen of England, the Philosophical Society. And that's a very, Mel Gibson stars in the movie. That's Professor and the Madman. So just as I'm waiting for Brother King to come on. Brother Kono, can't see. Wonder what's going on here. All right, so hey, brother Hank. He's calling me right now.
Yo, Islam, I'm eating, man. Ain't nobody backstage, so you better hold on, make the show rock. Test 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Your screen just froze up, Brother Abdullah. Family, welcome to Magnets, Crystals, Pyramids. I'm I guess I'm the host, producer. Anyway, I'm backstage. I'm eating some fries and some black beans and quesadilla. And Abdullah is freezing up on your screen, bruh. Oh. Okay, he dropped out totally. So let's continue with, while I'm chewing, let's continue with the opening, because right now I didn't expect to be holding down um, the show because Abdullah dropped out. His guest never showed. And we're going to evolve the program. So let's do this. Yeah, he took the fly and walking away.
Here we go. Yeah, King was clicking on the wrong link. So we were right. We were live and direct. All right, here we go. So we have the topic. Welcome everyone again. All right, to the Moorish Monday with Abdullah Il Talib Mosi Bey on Magnet Crystal Pyramid YouTube. All right, so we're going to, without further ado, we already introduced the topic once again. This is trust and their contractual safeguards. I bring to you Brother King Al Bey.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Tonight we're going to have a great topic and talk about what is a trust and contractual safeguards. We're going to talk about the language and contracts. So most of us, right, don't understand that a trust is no more than it's an entity, and what makes the entity is the language in it and how it's structured. So a well-structured trust will have a lot of components to it. It'll have trust protectors to protect the assets of the trust and oversee trustees and agents to what? Protect the trust and the integrity of the trust. The trust indenture, the memorandum of trust. These are the components that direct and guide the trust. The memorandum of trust is the memorandum of law of the trust that governs that. Then you have the trust indenture. It's like the Constitution. It's like the sometimes the political side. So depending on just how you understand trust, how to structure a trust, and your understanding on the language that's needed to safeguard the trust, this is very key to having a solid trust. So a lot of individuals believe, oh, I just got to trust. But a trust has to have the proper integrity with the language. So we got to remember a trust must contract, just like you, like a real man and woman who has to contract. It's the same thing. A trust has to contract. So a trust, if you don't safeguard your rights, right, and you do the same thing with a trust, then the trust is going to be vulnerable. It's going to have vulnerability in the trust. So someone can pierce the veil of the trust and enter into the trust and start taking assets. So a lot of people believe that just because they put property in a trust, that the property is protected, especially when the property is being secured by the state or other private entities. Like, people don't believe that the Federal Reserve notes, that they could put money into a Federal Reserve notes into their trust, and that the government can't pierce that veil. That money is intellectual property of the Federal Reserve. They have a secured interest into that property. The United States have a vested interest because it was granted to them to utilize. So we're talking about intellectual property rights and rights that were granted. So if you put money in your trust, guess what's happening? You gave someone the key to enter your trust. It's just like this. I'm gonna make this simple. You cannot put other people's property in your trust and think that the trust is going to secure the rights of that property just because it's a trust. If I got rights to that property and I can show and prove that that's my property, I can go into your trust and remove that. I can pierce the veil of your trust. So we must be very technical with the language. So what is some key elements that need to be in a trust? You need to have security agreements. What you mean? You want to secure property through a security agreement to ensure that you secure your rights and property before it get transferred to a third party or a second party. So you have second and third parties that the principal want to secure the interest into the property, into the trust before it's transferred. You also have all types of other provisions, a catch-all provision that will catch certain elements or ensure that if something is not there, that the catch-all provision will catch any error, defect, or anything, ensuring the integrity of the property doesn't get lost or someone can steal or transfer a property that's yours. And you might need a release agreement, right? So a lot of property, right? So if you look at certain things for as property rights or contract rights for as intellectual property, you might have to, you might need to sign a release of the intellectual property so the other parties, but maintaining a secure interest in the property. These are all contractual safeguards that people, most of us, don't even know exist or even think about. Because when we think about these things, this is a very sophisticated process. It's not what people think. It's a very sophisticated process in which you have to know how to put contractual safeguards into your contracts. For example, a lot of us, okay, we're going to talk about data. We're going to talk about your data because that's what it is. This information is considered data. So who get to utilize your data, right? When we think about contracts and your personal data, how is it protected? Who is protecting your data? Like the HIPAA laws protect private medical information, right? Then you might have other private information, right? That's like that makes it a contractual safeguard because the HIPAA is nothing but a provision that's a contractual safeguard that protect medical information being released into the public. So when you have intellectual property rights that's been secured, you want to make sure that you have a release a release of information or different contractual stipulations that safeguard your intellectual property and who can house your data. So people are running around right now as we speak, Facebook, uh, Instagram, YouTube, everybody has your data. How you protecting it? Who told you to go and fill out a contract and release all your personal information into the public without it being safeguarded? Now your information is being transferred from second to third parties across the globe without your knowledge, night and day. And you don't have you never put any contractual safeguards into your trust as it relates to your intellectual property rights, your right of publicity, the person that you're using, that will protect that type of intellectual property or data. So most of us don't even have a degree of understanding some of this information, Abdullah, when it comes to contractual safeguards. So a lot of us don't know that when you create like a person, right? a strong person that you can take and create contracts where, for example, I'm gonna talk about like Jamie Foxx. I'm just gonna use the name, right? And you can take that, right, how that works. So I just want to say that we don't know if that's his real name or not. I'm not going to go into the details, but let's say, Abdullah, let's say that you had a contract with your trust, and it said Abdullah El Talib Mosley Bey is the intellectual property of this trust, and that you were the owner, and that you were had the right to royalties for the use and publicity of that name as a character, just like Mark Twain in his books, as he utilized those books and his characters that had um, fictional characters, but they if they was written to fit a book, so they had royalties, just like in Neo in the Matrix. That's a fictional character in that Matrix that by reading that story and using that name, Neo, Morpheus, those you would have to pay the the writer royalties for the
So,
use of
so
those.
Sophia, what's her last name? The sister. Now she's the writer.
Right, the
She's
sister.
the yeah, the sister wrote that. So,
I
yeah,
think she wrote the Terminator too, didn't she?
yeah, Terminator and all that. Yeah, she got money. She got billions. A couple of like $1.5 billion. Mhm.
So when you secure, when you understand how to secure intellectual property, do intellectual property agreements, royalty agreements, warehouse agreements, distribution agreements, manufacturer agreements, and all types of other contractual, right? So like McDonald's, you can't go and use McDonald's, right? You can trademark your name, right, and utilize it and put it under a DBA, and then safeguard those rights. And then you can take into create entities that witness off and secure the intellectual property rights of that trademark, of that right of publicity, right? That name and the use of that name as copyright material. That you or the trust is to receive royalties for the use of such intellectual property. Then who has the right to warehouse and hold such information, right? So you got credit card companies. A lot of y'all don't even know. A lot of your credit card companies, you gave power of attorney. When you go buy a car, you didn't gave them power of attorney. Sign this power of attorney. Why? Because they acting on your behalf. And you signed it off, right? And you don't have no contractual safeguards. Guess what happens if you sign off and you have a trust, right, that says you can't give away power of attorney. It's not delegated to you. So you can't release, you can't give away such power. Because the trust and the trust protector or the board of trustees only can allow you to release that with the approval of the board.
Hey,
These are
King, before we continue, let's put a plug in. We got a book coming up next year, and we got a 12-week course coming up next year. Let's put a plug in for both the book and the course. The title of the book.
the title of the book is called Legal Principles, the DNA of the Legal System.
All right.
And what me and Abdullah have constructed with the book, we break down all the legal principles and how the legal principles is gave birth or infused into the legal system. Without the legal principles, you would not have a legal system, because the principles is the governing elements that runs, it's the engine that runs the legal system. When we talk about legal system, I don't want you to talk about the courts. The courts are nothing but components of the legal system. They play a role in the legal system, but the legal system itself is not the courts. The legal system, if you understand, is rooted into construction of the of the de, of the legal principles that governs how the legal system functions. So there are five major legal systems. You got the common law, civil law, mixed, religious, and customary. That is the legal systems that is being utilized. So once you adopt the legal principles goes into and helps shape the legal system. And based on them principles, that is what governs, because that is what these principles is which hold up the system.
All right, we got the book, and you're talking. You're going to be. This is a pretty much a prelude to the course, the 12-week course. Contracts and their legal safeguards is the upcoming course that we'll have the flyer out pretty soon, and looking to have that course early spring. We're looking at early spring contracts and their legal principles. So there'll be about 3 to 4 months of marketing the course,
Okay.
contracts and their legal
Okay.
principles. Legal contracts and their legal safeguards is the course. All right, you go. I just wanted us to get a plug in, and we'll do that at the end.
Right.
Continue, King.
So, like, we got to understand a lot of these things, right? With the using these different elements. So, what is the purpose of a trust? You have so many different trusts. So you have a holding trust that holds property. That's all this is geared to do, engineered to do. It's just to hold property. So if you got a holding trust and it's holding property, then it's not a trust. It may not be a common law business trust. It's not doing business. So a lot of times what happens is you will have a business trust that then take property and give it to the holding trust. And then the holding trust just holds the assets. And then by it holding the assets, it creates a portfolio of assets then which can be utilized and be leveraged to borrow money. So life insurance policies can be held in a holding trust where that can be used as a family bank to do those to create wealth, because insurance, one of these, what people need to understand is insurance, whole life insurance, based on the type of life insurance that you have, can yield a lot of interest. So you want to understand that. So a lot of the wealthy, they use their life insurance policies, and they borrow against it, and they never have to pay it back because it's constantly yielding interest. So that's like a family owned bank. So a lot of the wealthy, they will have their hierarchy, they will have family members all through this, and they have insurance, creating a family bank that yields this insurance, and they never have to go to to the bank itself, because they already have policies that they can borrow against, and they never have to pay it back. So they don't need to go to the bank at all, for no reason, no purpose. So there are so many things that people need to know about trust and how trusts operate, because there's so many different forms of trust, and how they're set up in the language is crucial. And what you say in the trust determines how it's safeguard and protecting you and the property. So if you don't know certain particular contractual safeguards to ensure that the trust don't give out all the contracts, give away a lot of rights through contracts to third parties, then you need to take this course to understand certain language that's specific to protect assets, your rights, and the property in the trust.
All right, so we got once again upcoming course contracts and their legal safeguard and their the book the legal system, the DNA. What's the title of the book again, Ty King?
The legal principles, the DNA of the
The
legal
legal system, the legal principles, and the DNA of a legal system. So they're coming out. Both the book and the course will be for next year. Definitely excited, and so we'll be doing little plugs. I said the flyer for the course will be out pretty soon. All right, so take it away, King.
So when we need to understand like what kind of trust and how to contract. And a lot of us don't understand, like when I talk about a common law trust, right? Let's talk about the common law. So when we start speaking on the common law, what people got to understand is that the United States is a two-tier system. It's based on the common law and it's based on the civil law. And what you got to understand, the civil law is what you find in the statutory law that is governed, that is inferior law, that is congressional law, in which that is not a creature of the Constitution. That's a congressional creature that Congress created those statutes. They gave birth or life to those statutes, but the Constitution governs gave birth to each branch. So the Constitution ultimately is superior in which they have to follow. That is the highest form of law in accordance to the three branches. There are treaties provisions within there, but that's incorporated inside the Constitution. I want to say this again. It's incorporated inside of the Constitution so those treaties can be recognized and is still a part of the Constitution. So the treaties, or even though they are international by its character, they were incorporated into the treaty, into the Constitution, making it domestic law. So you got to understand how this works. So when we looking at trust, because that's what the United States is, it's a trusteeship role. So we got to understand how they go about doing business, and by understanding the principles and understanding all of these different things, these moving parts, it allow you to critically think and allow you to shape how your trust should look and appear, and what kind of safeguards that you want to put in there in your trust to ensure that property do not get into the wrong hands. So you might have certain intellectual property rights that have an exclusive agreement, right? You might have exclusive agreements that this intellectual property is exclusively to this entity in which it can control this exclusively, and it might even further have a security agreement in which it may still can secure its interests, but it may can delegate certain property rights to particular agencies that is under that trust. So you might have a statutory uh, LLC, right? And then you might have a common law business trust. And then you create a relationship by what? Creating a contract between the two and delegate certain authority to that statutory trust, where, I mean, that statutory creature, which is a LLC, where it can may do certain things on the behalf of the trust, right? In which it's a contract. So now what you did is you try to, a lot of times what I try to do, I try to put a wall between these statutory creatures because they're governed by statutory law. And what I'm doing is creating a common law entity that's governed by contract. and is protected, its fundamental rights is protected by the Constitution based on the understanding and the development of a common law trust and how it create relationships through contract with statutory entities to hold records, right? Which is can be recognized by the public because it's a statutory entity, and since that statutory entity was created by Congress, you can you can delegate that to hold certain private records under a contract that then can get a seal by that company with a letterhead and all of that based on the contractual arrangements that you set up. But it cannot, just like you create HIPAA law, you could create a common law arrangement where this private information cannot be released into the public for no reason except with the approval of the board of trustees. So you can do all types of things with the trust and how to create relationships because status is the relationship between persons, places, and things. That's status. It creates a relationship. So, what you want to do is learn how to create relationships, create safeguards in those relationships, so that any third or any third party or any party outside of this contractual relationship cannot get a hold of property or information and use it against you or unjustly enrich yourself by taking such property because you didn't secure your interest in the property.
Yeah, awesome, brother. This is very much needed information.
Is there
Um,
any questions, Abdullah? Do anybody have any
well,
questions in relationship to everything?
do you see these any questions on your end?
I don't see nothing on my end
I'm on my phone here.
to you.
Well, let me now. There are, as you mentioned, there are many safeguard clauses that can be used.
Right.
You mentioned a few already. Can you mention other? Can you go into other safeguard clauses? I
um,
think.
it's a lot of them. Um, so the right of publicity is a safeguard,
Mhm.
a clause.
You
Um,
mentioned one to me a couple of weeks ago. Uh, I can't recall what it is.
what was pertaining to?
That's what I'm trying to remember, and I can.
It's I ain't gonna lie, like a lot of these things, right? Um, I got listed into my flash drive. I have a external hard drive, and I just have a lot of list of different safeguards um, clauses. So,
All right.
like a catch-all clause. A lot of people don't know. Like you can have it in there anything like you want to have a clause that's a catch-all. You want to have a severability clause that may, if any portion of the contract is severed, if it's considered inapplicable, that the rest of the contract still is enforceable. So these are things that you want to do to safeguard your rights. Also, you have let me see if I can find more safeguard clauses. Contractual.
And that'll be part of the course. We taught in the course contract and their legal safeguards coming your way. It's a 12-week course. Uh, I think we're looking at $300 for the course, and so like I said, we'll have the flyer out soon. All right, looking at doing this in the early spring,
Yeah,
and
I'm
once again, the
on.
upcoming book legal principles, the DNA of a legal system. So I'm definitely excited to work on these projects with King and all the many other, of course, we have the Moorish Investigative Research Committee. We're gonna, we expanded the Moorish Body Politic Formation course. Shim and I put together in 2021. That's then expanded. We're looking to put out a letter, or we're calling on various Moorish body. We'll be calling on various Moorish body politics and study groups we'll have for 6 months. We'll meeting on Zoom once a month as we prepare to facilitate, a national Moorish provisional governing body. So we're putting a lot of things in place and helping facilitate the Shim's plan and his proposal or plan to facilitate a Moorish provisional national governing body. So definitely excited to have worked with Shim been working with Shim for the past 5.5 years, and King has joined us 2.5 years ago. We had the Moorish Political Unity Conference here in Philadelphia on May 18th, and I'll be putting out a written report in about a month, about the outcome of the conference and where we from and the events leading since the conference. All right, so that'll be available in another month. All right, back to you, King.
Okay, so something I just looked up real quick, like they have a risk assessment um, clause that that the process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluate potential risks that could negatively impact a strategic alliance or partnership, a breach of contract clause, violation of agreed upon terms of the contracts which may lead to legal consequences, liability clause, who a provision that specifies the extent in which a party is liable for damages or losses, right? Then you have a right of prospective advantage clause where you can, like, if anyone interfere or stop your ability to make money due to interference of a contract by deliberate intent. There's a lot of different clauses that you can use um, in these contracts that you need to know, like a recourse clause. A lot of us don't have in our contracts a recourse clause. A lot of us sign a contract and don't even know that we don't have any recourse to a lot of stuff because we didn't allow that to have any in our contracts. A lot of entities make us sign contracts where they have extend themselves a lot of recourse, and we never negotiated those terms in any type of contract. Do that make sense, Abdullah?
No, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm still trying to remember the one we talked about a couple weeks ago.
It's hundreds and literally different types of trust, different types of contracts that you need to do and understand. It's just hundreds of them. So you have to familiarize yourself with all of this information under these contractual safeguards, right? So, like trade secret information, um, you can have a trade secret agreement, right? Where all of your private information is like your telephone number, even your fingerprints, your toe footprints, your your hair, your DNA, all of that can be under trade secret information. And don't you know you can sell your DNA, your intellectual property to the trust, and the trust can owe you royalties for that, for ownership of your DNA, and that anybody who wants that must go through a release, sign a release form. The trust must sign a release form so it can be used. Most of us don't. We go to the hospital, we allow the different entities to get our data, our fingerprints, our DNA, our hair strand, and they just using it. What if you had a contract where you had the trust that owned all of your DNA, that owned everything of you, right? You everything, right? So now what happens when a private entity outside of that tries to use such information against you, right? You can shut it down. You can do a cease and desist. Put them on notice with a cease and desist. How did you obtain this information? And you can sue them for having such information and storing it into their database. Now you can have an audit clause in your trust where you can audit any individual who uses such private information for their own personal enjoyment or enrichment. Now you can send people that if you discover certain information, right? This is how you safeguard your intellectual property, your DNA, your rights, right? You can do so much because right now I'm telling you, people are selling your data. They're selling it, and none of us is making no money. None of us is making. People are soliciting you right now, calling your phone, and you don't know how they got your information because it's been sold. They are right now on these different platforms using your data to do what? Target you for what? Ads. Right now. That you don't have a clue that you have the right to own such data. So where's your data, right, agreement where you own all the data, intellectual property rights, all data in any form, right? Where is your contracts? So under the constitutional fold of government, I want you to think about the Constitution itself. In its mere construction, it talks about unlimited right to contract. You have a right to contract unlimited, right? Right to contract. So if you have a constitutional right to contract unlimited, I want you just to think about that. I want you to think about that for a second and ask yourself, what question is that? Is that a fundamental right protected by the Constitution? Or is that a statutory right created in statute in the substantive language of a statute? And which one give you more protection? Now, I'm not going to say that the Constitution affords you. Sometimes the statute can afford you more protection than a what? The Constitution. Why do King Elbay say that? Because sometimes the Constitution, certain things weren't invented at the time. Certain things at the time of the construction of the Constitution, all things weren't created that you see today. And some of it don't have the the Constitution may not have all the language necessary to protect a particular um, property interest in based on the statute give you more leverage based on the language in it. So depending on what type of um, statute it is, may determine what kind of protection that you get. So you have to be a reader. You have to look at these things. You have to understand this information in its entirety, family, to ensure what you're trying to do. So I'm just giving us some real substance instead of just saying, King Bay, I gotta trust. Okay, I gotta trust. I need to protect my property. And I'm like, okay, okay, let's look at the language in the trust. How you going to build the trust? How you going to protect the property? What is the property? Okay, what are you trying to protect? Right? Oh, and I can identify, oh, you don't want to put that directly in your trust. You might have a management company, for example. Let's say your company or your trust, let's say your trust, you don't want to put Federal Reserve notes in your trust, right? So what would you do? You might create a management company, right, that manage the finances and the funds, right, and talk about the funds and the source of the funds being Federal Reserve notes, that the management company would manage such financial instruments in the name of Federal Reserve notes, in which they only have the delegation of authority to do so, and then and how they can what they can do to obtain other assets. So it's so many things you could do with a trust that you could put in. So I wouldn't recommend you put Federal Reserves directly in your common law trust. I try to tell you to put assets, and some of the assets I like to put in trust is gold, silver, precious metals, minerals. Why I'm talking like that? Because gold, precious metals, and minerals, those are creations of God. No man can say they created that. It's not under construction of any substantive language by any branch of government in the world. So those a lot of those minerals even predates us because we are made up of those minerals. So and precious metals. So what I try to get people to understand is you want to put things that you know has wealth, intrinsic value, that can be put into a trust that no one can take. Is there anyone with any questions about anything regarding trust, regarding how you want to think about trust, what you want to what kind of trust you want to do, what kind of the different types of power of attorneys that can be used, the different types of entities that you can utilize, because I think a lot of people have got things wrong. LLCs and other public entities might be given that's been probably handed a bad rap because because everyone thinks about this common law so much in relationship to the constitutionality of government. But the reality of it is, all of this is about contracts and how to create relationships with contracts and how to utilize these contracts in a way that give you the most leverage. Any questions? Any questions, anyone? Put them in the chat. I don't know. Is you still there, Abdullah? Brother Hank, are you still there? is freezing. They say that it's freezing. Is anyone having trouble with this information? Someone saying it's freezing. I don't. Is any? I'm trying to see
I can't
something.
I can't tell on my end because you fine on my end. We on the same screen, but so you saying he's freezing?
Someone said they were freezing.
I saw that too. I didn't. Please put the course info. I did put the Karen. I put the course information in the chat. That's what got me off. I tried to get back. Yeah, I put the course information in the chat as far as, and I put my number. My number is 215-300-5471. I put the title and that'll be starting in the spring of 2025, and to contact me, Abdullah Bey, at 215-300-5471. We don't have the flyer out right now. So that only I can give you right now is the title of the course that'll be starting in the spring of 2025. And you have my number, 215-300-5471. That is what I already put in the chat. So we'll have the flyer out within the next week or two. We're working out certain particulars, but that course will be is definite. But there's things that we have to, work out before we put the flyer out. So in the meantime, we're just doing the promo, and you like I said, have my number 215-300-5471, and just text me, and then I'll have you entered down as a point of someone who's interested in the course, and I'll send that flyer out once we have it. Somebody put my information in the chat. All right, put the title of the course, because I've already done it. And I don't know, I went to the chat and I was able to send it out. Contract and illegal, so yeah, that's what I put in the chat. That's it. That's exactly what I typed. It's there already. See? That is what I typed. That's what I put in the chat. Thank you, Hank. Yeah, that's exactly what I put in.
Well, so we need to
keep that up there for a minute. Right on, Hank. Thank you. So this is really good. Wow, King. This is much needed. I'm excited. This is very much needed. The way in which, the detail in which you talk about trust and contracts and there's legal safeguards. This is very good, brother. Very, very good.
Yeah. So so it's a lot of different tools that I will teach you. When the course, it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of information that I use for learning about clauses. It's a lot of information out here on how to draft contracts and stuff like that. So I try to get people to understand how to look at some of this stuff and get started with this information and try to utilize, these things. And I'll be providing you information and resources also that can help you draft contracts. But that will be provided in the course, because some of these subscriptions I pay for, and things that I look at to try to get. It's a lot of good information out here, and that I learned. What I read, what made me start thinking about contractual safeguards, as I read it in the case. And is it a birth certificate I was looking at also? That it says something about safeguards. This is a contractual safeguard. I think it was on a birth certificate or something I was reading. And I was like, wow. So a lot of people use arbitration agreements as a safeguard to keep you from being able to go directly to the court. That you have to go through an arbitration first before you can, you know, go to the court. So they
Well,
have, I think it's
I probably wouldn't go to the court though, King, because if you have a arbitration agreement, that means the arbiter is the one that makes his decision. And so whatever the
sometimes you can challenge the decision making process in the
of
court.
the arbiter. All right. I thought that once that is agreed, once an arbitration is because it's agreed by the
Both parties.
arbitration is agreed by both parties. So it's not where one party's agreeing. Both parties agree to this process, and that the arbiter and that the arbiter's decision would be binding. That is agreed on. That both parties agreed that the arbiter's decision would be binding.
Right.
That's agreed upon. That's why. I mean, how would a court get involved once that's agreed upon on both? Because then a court will look at the arbiter's agreement. Like if you're going to take it to the court,
Even though it may be binding,
yeah, go ahead.
it may not be procedurally sound, or the contract in which was used in the arbitrate, because you got to remember the
Yeah,
arbitrator is using the contract still. He's still going in based on the contract.
true.
So
True.
he might not see some things like a judge might look at it. The contract may be unconscionable in itself in its construction, just because the arbitrator
Okay. Good point.
may have find it bounding. The judge can unravel that based on the integrity of how the case went, certain things if they afforded due process, and that because you still the arbiter still is has to ensure the integrity, that due process is still an element of the of the arbitration. So that keeps people from being able to railroad you.
All right. Good point. Good point. Hey man, I'll throw comments out there. You know, clean it up.
Yeah. So yeah, so arbitration agreements can be they overturned all the time.
All right.
You just got to find cases. Um, but a lot of if you read a lot of the arbitration agreements, it's just they can't rule out the court because the court still have jurisdiction. It's just that you have to go through the arbitration course for action first before
Right.
going to the court. The
I got
court
you.
will throw your case out because you're not following the contract,
Yeah, contract. Right.
right? So they say, no, we can't hear this. And why? Because it's not ripe. Remember, we talked about this. Your case has to be right. That means that you have to meet all the elements in the contract before you can go to court. So if it's an arbitration agreement in there and you try to bypass arbitration, the court will kick it out and say it's not right yet because you don't have an arbiter make a binding decision before you can bring it to the court.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? So you have to just know these things, and a lot of people don't. The arbitrator may agree to something. You don't know the contract because you're not really well studied, and then you don't pursue it in the court because you got to. What we got to understand. I'm gonna just break it down to y'all. Let's keep it. Let's make this make sense to everyone. A lot of these people are rubbing shoulders and greasing each other palms, right? So you got arbitrations of America that thinking that arbitration. You got to understand a lot of these entities, right? When we was talking about certain international institutions that favor certain it organizations or other states, right, that play favor. So I want you to understand that's also in arbitration um, 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 organizations too, right? There's favoritism. So the purpose of all of this is that we have to understand this and know that this is all part of the game. That there are parties that have a influence over other institutions. So you have to do your part and understand this information and be very well rounded with this, right? So that's why I say you must be what they call procedurally sound, that you adhere to the rules, the procedure, and that you follow them to the letter of the law to ensure that you exercise due diligence and that you have a right of recourse based upon that you follow the contract to the letter. So these are things that people need to understand. So you have, you can put arbitration agreements in your contracts and become a part of some of these national arbitration groups by signing up. And y'all, you have to pay a membership fee and stuff like that. And the arbiter will be a part. This is important to group dynamics and understand the trust law because that's very important because a lot of us don't understand that. So we can form an institution. Not only can it have arbitration agreement in it, that we can also be a member of an organization, one of the world's or the world's largest or some of the nationwide largest arbitration institutions that we can have get our members to pay this membership fee so that we have another form of recourse when dealing with certain civil suits. It's a lot of stuff to digest, family. I wasn't trying to overwhelm the family with all of this, but it's a lot of misconceptions that I just want to clean up based on people not really understanding what a trust is and why these contractual safeguards is very important to protect rights. I just see so many more say, well, I got a trust king and then I got a fee schedule. But when I look at and read their trust, I'd be like, what is this? What is this? Oh man, that's my trust. Okay, you got a trust protector. You didn't protect it in your property. Well, I got a fee schedule. Okay, that's just a fee schedule. But how is your property protected? Like, where is the what I call um, firewalls, right? Where's your layers of contractual safeguards that act almost like a firewall from somebody getting into your trust and taking the property, right? So most of us don't understand how to put layers of information, especially when there's information that's very sensitive information. So these are the things that we must know and think about when we're dealing with this information, Abdullah.
All right. Anything else, King? Uh,
Not really. I want everybody, if you're having child support problems, go to Amazon, get my book, How to
yeah.
Stop Child
Mark you.
Support.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I got other resources coming, but I'm definitely me and Abdullah have have been working tightly together. We talk pretty much every day, and we're growing this information to make it solid, so that we can now root this information on solid information that can now take us to the next level in this movement.
All right. So
So,
you have my information. Contract and their legal safeguards. I have safeguards. Contract and their legal safeguards.
right,
All right. The title, contract and their legal safeguards. The title, the 12-week course. The course will be taught in the spring of 2025. My number, as you see, 215-300-5471. Definitely. Please like this video, share it. Please don't forget to subscribe to Magnet Pyramid Crystal YouTube page. There's other wonderful lessons on this video, on this YouTube platform. Hank has, at least 3 or 4 guests a week, so this is, I'm here every Monday, but there's other ones. He may have something tomorrow and then Wednesday. So definitely don't check them out as well. Metaphysical health, crystal, magnet information, and to stimulate your Christ consciousness. All right. Yes, we are indeed Christians. All right. We're Christian. The karas, that's the oil that's secreted in the brain. All right. The karas. So so to become Christ-like is that oil that's secreted in the brain. The sunlight stimulates the serotonin and melatonin in the brain. You have what's known as neuromelanin. So we are indeed Christians. It's not a name of a particular religion. It's actually ancient science. It's a biochemical word. All right, so let's place the word Christian, Christendom, Christianity, Christian in its proper biochemical sense, having nothing to do with worship. You know what I mean? As they say, well, I'm a Christian because I claim to be, I go to church. That doesn't make you a Christian. I'm looking right at you. I look at King. All right. I see the carbon. All right. As not, once again, the European conquerors, the conquistadors, have taken words. One of them is Christian, Christ. They've taken words out of its original cultural setting. All right, so that's one of, so I am a Christian. Just look at me. I'm a Christian. I cannot not be a Christian. I'm a Christian. They say, if I say I'm not a Christian, would make sense. Like, huh? I mean, look at me. What do you mean? I'm not a Christian. Yes, I am. All right, so it's just, so when you're looking at Muslim, we're looking at the anatomical structure of the body. So the letter G in the compass and square stands for geometry. You have 5, 1.618, the divine proportion, the golden mean. You have what they call the quote unquote Fibonacci sequence. Geometry is the roadmap or blueprint to unlock the secrets of creation. So we get back to our science. So the basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. Those who control the meaning of words control the people who use them. Philip K. Dick. So the Europeans are constantly manipulating, taking words out of its original meaning, its original culture sense, original culture context. The meanings are not evolving. That's not evolving. If I take a mother meaning, an original thought, original concept, and I suppress that original concept, original thought, by layering it with a new meaning, that new meaning is not evolution. That is devolution. Evolution would mean that the original meaning remains intact. and you're expanding upon the original thought, the original concept. You're not suppressing, you're not supplanting the original thought, the original concept, the original idea. There's no supplanting. There's what? There's expanding. So the original meaning is always known. It's expanding, not suppressing. The suppressing is devolution. That new meaning is devolution. It's not evolved. All right, so I just wanted to throw that in there. My Christian brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us. The Karas. All right, so once the word education is to draw out your innate ability. Doesn't mean animal training. Erudite. No, we're not here to erudite you. We're not here to erudite you. All right, meaning that what I mean is that I don't see you as undisciplined. So to say that we are here to erudite you, that means you're undisciplined. You're unruly. You're rough behind the edges. All right. And now we are, we're taming you. All right. Because you're unruly. Rude means rough. But education means to stimulate that which is in you. To draw out of you your innate talent and ability. So we're stimulating. That's education, not erudite. I'm not about erudition. No, I'm not about that. Not about erudition. I'm about education, drawing out of you, drawing out that which is innate, your innate talent, your innate ability to stimulate you, that which is in you. That's education. I'm not about eruditing y'all. No. Y'all, you had the knowledge is in you already. It's in your cellular memory. So let me explain that I'm not about erudite. I don't deal with no erudition. I don't deal with erudition. Why don't I not deal with erudition? Because I know the knowledge to build the pyramids. The ancient sound technology is in your cellular memory. You look at the cover of my Illuminati book, Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind book. I have the elephant, the dragon, the cyclops, the Uraeus, the lotus flower on my book cover. Surrounding that, you have within the middle, the center, is the pineal gland. The elephant is used as a symbol of cellular memory because the elephant has a huge frontal lobe. It can store a tremendous amount of memory. The elephant never forgets. So the elephant, Dinesh, the festival of Diwali, and so they have Dinesh in India as a symbol. But they worship Dinesh. They go Ganesh. They worship Ganesh. Well, that guy, you're Ganesh. You're the elephant. It's a symbol of the cellular memory. My having this knowledge, this is why I don't deal with erudition. You're not rough. You already have it in you. It's in you already. It's in you. It's to stimulate that which in you, then draw out of you. Erudition doesn't mean that. It means you're rough. You're unruly. That's erudition. Look up the word. Rude means rough. Come on, my brothers and sisters. I deal with etymology, my brothers and sisters. There's no erudition here. It's education. All right, so as you've seen throughout the night, my website, mooresandmasonry.org, for my book, Illuminati and Illumination of the Mind, How Her Venus and Moon Rule, Etymology and Vocabulary, etymology, vocabulary, submit you one, the Masonic compass and square, the connection to measurement, timekeeping, Moors and Masonry Part 1, Moors and Masonry Part 2. Go to moorsandmasonry.org. We have, so Brother King, you want to give us a sign off?
Yes, so I just want everybody to remember, when you get a trust, think about how to utilize the trust, the language in the trust language. So I talk about this trigger language. I'm going to teach you trigger language. What is trigger language? So trigger language that you guys need to remember, when certain events or certain things that is identified in the language, it triggers a particular provision or action that is indicative to how the trust responds. So you need to look up trigger language. Understand what trigger language is. These are things that you need to know, because these are very important to understanding the elements that triggers a particular subject matter. So I just want everyone to come to check us out at the Moorish Research Investigative Committee. Check out Abdullah and his books, Moors and Masonry, go.org. You can go to my YouTube channel, Moorish Union of Sovereign, Moorish Universal Society of Sovereign Tribes. We also got the Moorish Union of Sovereign Tribes. Come and check us out, me and Banalay on the Pro Say Moors. We do a show on his platform on New Kemet TV. We do a lot of stuff, family. I'm teamed up with Abdullah, and we're going in. Check out the Moorish Investigative Committee.
And the classes, the courses are on the
class.
Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. There's seven educational sessions that we have already. The Moorish Investigative Research Committee. That's the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page. All right, there's other ones, but the Moorish Investigative Research Committee has already done 7 educational courses. They're free. Once again, go to the Moroccan Post Media YouTube page.
Right.
All right. So thank you again, Brother Hank, for allowing me to grace me with this wonderful platform. I've been on this platform since December of 2023. All right, I'm approaching my 1 year anniversary on this platform. Please don't forget to subscribe to the page, like this video as well as others, and share the other videos. I want to give once again salute you, Brother Hank.
Thank you once again, Brother Hank from Brother King El Bay, for allowing us to speak on your platform and introduce this information to our people. This is very important and crucial information. So thank you, Brother Hank. I appreciate you. Honors, my brother.
We got the course one.